Here we found a race of a very human kind. When its civilization had reached a stage in character much like our own, a stage in which the ideals of the masses are without the guidance of any well-established tradition, and in which natural science is enslaved to individualistic industry, biologists discovered the technique of artificial insemination. Now at this time there happened to be a widespread cult of irrationalism, of instinct, of ruthlessness, and of the divine primitive brute man. This figure was particularly admired when he combined brutishness with the power of the mob controller. Several countries were subjected to tyrants of this type, and in the so-called democratic states the same type was much favored by popular taste. In both kinds of country, women craved brute men as lovers and as fathers for their children. Since in the democratic countries women had attained great economic independence, their demand for fertilization by brute men caused the whole matter to be commercialized. Males of the desirable type were taken up by syndicates and graded in 5 ranks of desirability. At a moderate charge, fixed in relation to the grade of the father, any woman could obtain brute man fertilization. So cheap was the 5th grade that only the most abject paupers were debarred from its services. The charge for actual copulation with even the lowest grade of selected male was of course much higher, since perforce the supply was limited. In the non-democratic countries, events took a different turn. In each of these regions, a tyrant of the fashionable type gathered upon his own person the adoration of the whole population. He was the God-sent hero. He himself was divine. Every woman longed passionately to have him, if not as a lover, at least as father of her children. In some lands, artificial insemination from the master was permitted only as a supreme distinction for women of perfect type. Ordinary women of every class, however, were entitled to insemination from the authorized aristocratic stud of brute men. In other countries, the master himself condescended to be the father of the whole future population. The result of this extraordinary custom of artificial fatherhood by brute men, which was carried on without remission in all countries for a generation, and in a less thorough manner for a much longer period, was to alter the composition of the whole quasi-human race. In order to maintain continued adaptability to an ever-changing environment, a race must at all costs preserve in itself its slight but potent salting of sensibility and originality. In this world, the precious factor now became so diluted as to be ineffective. Henceforth, the desperately complex problems of the world were consistently bungled. Civilization decayed. The race entered on a phase of what might be called pseudo-civilized barbarism, which was in essence subhuman and incapable of change. This state of affairs continued for some millions of years, but at last the race was destroyed by the ravages of a small rat-like animal, against which it could devise no protection.